I had a conversation with a team member just yesterday. I said to her, if our president looks in the courtyard and there are two team members rolling around having a disagreement, who is he going to hold accountable? The senior leader or the junior team member? It's going to be the senior leader.
Has to model the behavior.
Correct. So at a higher level, I'm going to say that you will need more emotional intelligence than the person who is new to the workforce.
Welcome to the People Matter podcast, where we shine a light on the professionals shaping the future of work in Jamaica and beyond. Powered by the Human Resource Management Association of Jamaica, this series brings you real stories, expert insights, and impactful conversations with leaders who are transforming workplaces, industries, and lives. I'm your host, Melissa Anderson, and today's conversation is one you don't want to miss. Today's workforce is a mix of 5 generations, with Gen Z being some of the quickest to adapt when it comes to AI, global mobility, and remote work. Now more than ever, it's clear we're not in the same corporate world we were a decade ago. Our guest today is CEO of VM Pensions Management, where she leads with a sharp focus on risk, compliance, and people development. With over 2 decades of experience across the pensions and financial services sector, including roles at Sagicor and the FSC, she brings a wealth of expertise in building teams, managing change, and creating opportunities for growth. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Natalie Bennett as she helps us to break down how leaders can foster talent, develop future-ready skills, and meet the expectations of a new generation entering the workforce. Natalie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa.
The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025 revealed that 84% of employers in Latin America and the Caribbean plan to upskill their workforce to meet rising digital demands. Now, Natalie, what are some of the most significant changes you've observed in how leaders approach upskilling?
Thank you for that question, Melissa. And before I even begin to respond to the question, talent management is such an important aspect of the organization's growth and development. We need to develop our team members in order for the organization to grow. One thing that we will notice there's a shift in is continuous learning. Gone are the days when we'll be locked up in a training room and somebody comes and they speak to you one time for the year. Now we have online training platforms, digital training platforms, and the Gen Zs would prefer that type of medium because they are able to learn, to absorb at their own pace in their own time.
All right. So definite digital transformation is all a part of the learning package now, especially when addressing Gen Z.
Absolutely. And then you also have to take the data analytics into it. What is in it for Natalie? What does Natalie need to grow, to develop, to be her best self? So Natalie's development plan has to be different from Melissa's development plan. You need to assess what it is, what are those competencies that Natalie needs.
Right. So it's an individual needs-based plan.
Correct.
All right. And it's going to not just be instructor-led, which is, I think, one of the profound things you said.
Absolutely.
We no longer have to sit in a classroom. That's not what continuous learning is about.
Absolutely.
It's learning in bite sizes.
Order of the day.
Love that.
Building a learning culture isn't just about having courses and certificates. It's also about creating space, time, and motivation for growth. How can Jamaican companies, businesses, and organizations foster a culture of continuous learning?
Well, Melissa, I believe it starts with 2 things. Setting the tone at the top.
Right.
It has to be something that from the very board of directors that they are concerned about. So it has to be a strategic imperative. And then what you do is that you build strategic initiatives around it to ensure that there is execution. So as a CEO, when I go to make a board report, I need to be telling my directors what it is that we have done over the past few months or since the last time we met to aid the development of the team members.
Right. Do you think it would involve also a mindset of employees around what learning entails? Because you went to this instructor-led, because we tend to think sit in a classroom, that's how we learn and that's the end all. But is that the case?
No,
a mindset shift.
I think the mindset shift is there and they are willing to learn. It's just the how. So if it is that someone is trying to meet a deadline and the day before they're being mandated to go to a course for HR,
Right.
then they're going to be less likely to absorb the information that's there, as opposed to if there was a learning platform, they could have done it after they had made their correct.
Self-directed learning.
Absolutely.
Okay. Culture isn't just about intention. It's also about action, about the programs, tools, and everyday reinforcement that help people grow. Can you walk us through a program or initiative you led that empowered employee growth?
So we learn in three ways. And this is the VM in me that's speaking. So we have experience-based learning, and that takes up 70%.
Okay.
You have your mentorship and feedback, which takes up 20%.
Right.
And then formal learning really and truly is 10%. So what you'll find is that I'll push my team members to have more experience-based learning activities that will cause them to be a little bit uncomfortable, but we grow in those seasons of discomfort. So my perspective is if it's not going to kill you, you can go ahead and do it. So as a junior member of staff, there's an executive meeting. If I'm allowed to take you, well, you will deliver the presentation. I don't need to speak.
Right. So that mix that you mentioned, that learning mix, sounds very familiar. It's actually something I know another major multinational company uses. It's actually a similar ratio, and I like that the greater portion of it is learning by doing.
Correct.
Again, going back to that preconceived notion that if you're not sitting in front of an instructor, you can't learn, you grow, you're not training.
Correct.
But we actually get better reinforcement and actually onboard skills when we are doing,
Absolutely,
going through the experiences.
Absolutely. So my feel good moment comes from seeing the team member evolve in that space. And one memory I have, and it brings a smile to my face, because I remember we had our leadership forum. It was her first leadership forum, and I said, "Well, you will deliver the presentation on VMPM today." She went up and she said, "Morning, everyone. I'm so nervous. It's my first forum." Then everybody turned and looked at me and said, "Well, Natalie, why did you let her present?" I said, "She left. She can do this." And she fielded the questions, very competent, very capable. At the end of the day, she sent me a WhatsApp to say, "Don't do this again." But thank you.
Right.
I learned from the experience and it caused me to grow.
Yeah, amazing growth. Wow. And again, it was, I think you underpinned so many skill sets. One, maybe the fear of, public speaking at that level. But again, sometimes we get in our own ways,
Correct.
when we're learning. Our
can be our
fears
stumbling
cripple
block.
us, right?
Correct.
So we need leaders like you to kind of,
Push.
throw them out,
Yeah.
push them
That's
to
how we
overcome
teach
those fears.
babies to swim. We take them and
Exactly.
toss them in the deep end.
Exactly. Now she has a competence she probably didn't know she had before.
Correct.
Based on your experience and industry trends, what skills will be non-negotiable 5 years from now?
Digital fluency and emotional intelligence.
Wow. Powerful.
Because how we interact with each other, there are no borders.
Right.
You and I may be on the same team. I'm in Jamaica and you are somewhere in India.
Yes.
I will need to know how to interact with each other. And the little things that I may do, which may not be offensive in the Jamaican culture, may be received differently.
So that cultural intelligence.
Right.
Right. So we all have to use AI. We're
Exactly.
going to have to get digitally
We all
fluent,
have
as
to
you
get
mentioned.
digitally fluent. We all have to understand that this is the way of the future. And so we just need to be comfortable using these tools,
Right.
speaking the language and understanding what it means.
So while it may be second nature to the Gen Z, all the other generations have
We
to
all
learn
have
this
to
new skill
we
now.
all have to fall in line now.
Let me put this statement to you because you mentioned emotional intelligence, which is the EQ, which is so important. Is the IQ and EQ of the two, which would you put the greater importance now?
No, well, I think it depends on the level
Okay.
that you are at in the organization. And I had a conversation with a team member just yesterday. I said to her, if our president looks in the courtyard and there are two team members rolling around having a disagreement, who is he going to hold accountable? The senior leader or the junior team member? It's going to be the senior leader.
Has to model the behavior.
Correct. So at a higher level, I'm going to say that you will need more emotional intelligence than the person who is new to the workforce.
Okay.
Because then when it's structured in that way, the leader can provide that coaching, that guidance to help the junior team member develop the EQ.
Right. Now, finally, Natalie, in your opinion, what mindset shift do leaders need to make to effectively support the workforce of the future?
One, accepting that we are operating in a digital space, that information is fast and it is changing every day. The technology that we used yesterday will become old technology tomorrow. And so we will have to adjust and adapt to the times.
Okay, so, and we have to continuously learn, which I think you've said
so many times. Yeah.
What have you noticed that Gen Z wants from employers that previous generations didn't?
As with the learning, Melissa, they want flexibility. Every job interview you go into now, what you're being asked as probably the number one question is whether there is remote work availability or is it a hybrid working structure. Gone are the days that persons expect to sit in the office from 9 to 5. So they want that flexibility. They want that work-life integration. They don't want to be stuck in the office for that extended period of time. In addition, the workspace needs to be different for them. It has to foster culture. It has to foster innovation. It can't feel like a rigid space that prohibits their creativity and innovative thinking. And they're very concerned about their mental well-being. And so I've often heard, and my team members call me Nats, they'll say, Nats, we need a wellness bench in the office. Where can they go to just have some peace, have some me time?
Okay. Why do you think that's so apparent for the Gen Zs? Why is this such a big need for them?
Interesting question, Melissa. I'm going to say it has to do with how our Gen Zs were raised, and they had a little bit more comfort, I would say, in their upbringing in comparison to the other generations. So they do need that space to...
Okay. So again, work-life balance is a big theme for the Gen Zs.
Correct.
And mental health. I love that. Based on your experience and industry trends, what skills will be non-negotiable 5 years from now?
I said it before, Melissa, the flexibility in the remote work. Now, the workplaces, what we have is a remote work policy, but it will have to evolve from that, and it will have to be more than just, okay, a few days out of office. It will have to be something more. The workspace itself will have to incorporate some fun aspects. When we look at what Google's workspace looks like, they have bean bags and you have a little creative space. Instead of having stairs and elevator, they're sliding.
Fun. Introduce
fun into the space, the workspace design. What else will they need? They probably will ask for a wellness bench now.
Right. Natalie, before we wrap up, it's time for a little honesty behind the policy. I'm going to ask you to take a question from the bowl, read it to us, and let's hear your answer.
What is the messiest conflict between two coworkers you've ever had to resolve? This is so interesting. I had to do this last week.
Oh, wow.
Before I tell you what the conflict was, I'm going to tell you what I told them.
Okay.
A timeout is important. Taking a break before you respond, send that email, take whatever action it is that you feel like taking in the moment when you are upset is extremely necessary.
Yes.
Because you need to, whatever it is that you write, it will be there forever. And maybe what it is that you wrote while you were upset is not what you would have written after you calmed down. The messiest conflict had to do with miscommunication and a misunderstanding. And so I had to indicate to both team members that what Natalie is looking for from Melissa is also looking for from Natalie, which was respect.
Right.
I needed something from you to execute my job. And I believe that you were taking your own sweet time to get it done.
Yeah.
But you didn't understand that there was something else that I found that had a greater priority that I had to put the time into. A simple communication, a telephone call could have resolved that matter.
And isn't that sometimes the major cause of so much conflict? Miscommunication and misunderstanding.
Absolutely. And then you lose sleep, you're not eating. Why?
Yeah.
And we could have simply resolved the matter with a telephone call.
Yes. A big thank you to Natalie for sharing her insights on preparing both organizations and employees for the future of work, especially as Gen Z continues to reshape workplace expectations. Her experience reminds us that talent development isn't just about training. It's about building a culture where learning and growth are constant. And a very special thanks to our loyal listeners and viewers who have stuck with us for these last 4 episodes. Keep it locked for our season finale coming up. Share with a friend who may need to binge watch, binge listen to catch up on our last couple episodes. In the meantime, please drop a comment. We want to hear those final burning questions you may have following today's discussion. Until next time.